It's to our advantage as a developer to elicit the most accurate responses we can from the user.
This video is brought to you by OppiePie's Academy.
That's why we don't use text boxes for anything, because a user could type anything in a text box, and most often they will. So in order to avoid dirty data or data that's incorrect or inconsistent, we try and limit the options for responses for users as much as we can. Let me show you a first example of that. Let's say we were going to ask for the user's date of birth. So label for DOB, and date of birth will be the actual text inside the label. So now, as we ask for the date of birth in the input, instead of the type being text, we're going to ask for the type date. And by the way, this is fairly new in HTML5, so this may not work in much older browsers. Input type date, and we still have, of course, our ID and name. Now, this input is going to appear not as a text box, but as a user clicks in here, they've actually got a full calendar and this kind of up and down doohickey in order to select the date. So they can kind of more easily drag back and forth and to select the accurate date. We got to go way, way back for mine, 1974, February 21st. I should point out that this is rendered a little bit differently from browser to browser. For example, if we take a look at this in Apple Safari browser, we're going to get a little different rendering. See that? So this still hasn't implemented the HTML5 widget. It probably will in the next version, but realize that not all your users will have the same experience. And if you're using Firefox, for example, the calendar would look even different. But this is really, really handy. You used to have like a plugin widget with a jQuery library and all sorts of other stuff in order to do something as simple as have the user pick a date visually. Now, of course, the advantages here, once again, is that once the user picks a date, it's formatted correctly and consistently for every user who submits the form. So date is the first place where we may want to select and get consistent information from user to user. The next place we might look at is colors. If the user is selecting a color, they could type green, red, they could do all sorts of different things. So here we're going to ask for a color input type. They're not going to do this very often, but it's good to have this control. So let's say we're asking for the favorite color. That's going to be our for label. And let's not forget our break to keep things looking neat. And now the inputs, I bet you could guess this one, type equals, what do you think? There it is right there. Color, ID, equals favorite color, name equals favorite color. A lot of times I'll use copy and paste features to avoid making a mistake. All right, so let's take a look at how this is implemented in the browser. So let's spell color correctly too. Just feels silly. There we go. So if I click on this, I get the color picker from the operating system, and I can choose a favorite color using these sliders, or picking it from this larger color palette here, or even this kind of box of crayons to pick a color. And it gives you the name of it right here. That's maroon, plum, midnight, eggplant. I like that one. So you can choose a color. Now, another place where you want it to be accurate, and also, of course, easy for the user to enter information, is when you're dealing with numbers. So let's ask the user now, we have a label for favorite color. How about favorite number? Kind of a silly thing. I don't have a favorite number, but it'll let us demonstrate the control we're trying to use. We'll add a break here. All right, so this time, input type equals, you guessed it, number. ID, favorite number, and name equals favorite number. All right, let's give it a shot, and you'll see what this does. This is not nearly as exciting as the other two. Here we go, favorite number. So see these arrows right here? This lets the user just click up and down. And they can go for quite a while here. It keeps going up. But if we want a number within a specific range, we can also add a minimum and maximum attribute here. So let's say min is 0. I'm just going to add that minimum 0 attribute. And let's refresh. And now when the user types in here 1, 2, 3, 4, they try and go down. I can't go lower than 0. I can go up, but not lower than 0. The user can still type in here, -5. And you can get below 0, or they can even type, A, B, C, D. And it's going to accept it. But this does limit the number of bad answers the users can put in. So it does help. And of course, if we wanted a maximum value, we just add it like that, max equals 5. And now it'll let us put in any number between 0 and 5. Notice how it also made the box smaller because it only needs to accommodate a single-digit number, small integer. So up, down, and it limits us. So there you see a way to go ahead and do a calendar on most browsers for the dates, color picker, and what's called a numerical stepper for numbers in order to get more accurate data and also to make it easier to input the data for the user. So we used input type equals date to get our calendar, input type equals color to get our color picker, and input type equals number to get our numerical stepper.